The bell rang, signaling the end of gym class at Ridgewood High School. Students filed out of the basketball court, some laughing, others complaining about how sweaty they were. For Lily, it was always the same routine. She would wait until most of the other students had left before heading to the locker room. It wasn't that she didn't like people, it was just easier this way. Fewer questions, fewer awkward conversations, and less chance of drawing attention to herself. Lily wasn't what anyone would call popular. She kept mostly to herself, blending into the background like a shadow. Her long brown hair was often tied back in a loose ponytail, and her glasses sat slightly crooked on her nose. She preferred books to parties and quiet corners to crowded hallways. Most days this worked fine for her. But today felt different somehow. As she walked toward the locker room, clutching her towel tightly, she couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was about to happen. Inside the locker room, the air smelled faintly of sweat and cleaning products. The sound of running water echoed from the showers, mixing with the chatter of girls getting ready to leave. Lily found her usual spot near the far wall where her locker was located. She opened it quickly, pulling out her clean clothes and setting them on the bench beside her. Then she wrapped her towel securely around herself before stepping behind the partition to change. Just as she slipped off her gym shirt, the door burst open. In walked Amanda and her crew, a group of 3 girls, who ruled the school with their sharp tongues and even sharper attitudes. Amanda was the leader, tall and blonde with a smile that could charm teachers but cut deeper than knives when aimed at students like Lily. Behind her trailed Chloe, whose laugh carried across rooms, and Rachel, who rarely spoke but followed Amanda's lead without question. Well, Amanda said, her voice dripping with mockery as she scanned the nearly empty locker room. Look who we have here. Little Miss Invisible thinks she can hide in plain sight. Lily froze, her heart pounding in her chest. She clutched her towel tighter, wishing she could disappear. I'm just changing, she mumbled, avoiding eye contact. Changing? Amanda repeated, feigning surprise. Oh, don't let us stop you. Go ahead. We're all dying to see what kind of fashion disaster you've got planned for today. Chloe giggled loudly while Rachel smirked, crossing her arms over her chest. They moved closer, forming a loose circle around Lily. She tried to step back, but there was nowhere to go. The cold metal of the lockers pressed against her back, trapping her. Come on, Lily, Amanda continued, her tone shifting from teasing to cruel. You're not shy, are you? Everyone knows you don't exactly have much to show off anyway. The comment stung, but Lily bit her lip, refusing to give them the satisfaction of seeing her cry. Instead, she focused on keeping her breathing steady, hoping they'd get bored and leave her alone. But Amanda wasn't done yet. With a sudden movement, Amanda reached out and yanked the towel from Lily's grip. Instinctively, Lily tried to grab it back, but Amanda held it high above her head, laughing as if it were the funniest thing she'd ever seen. Give it back, Lily pleaded, her voice trembling. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring her vision. She hated feeling so helpless, so exposed. All she wanted was to run away, to escape the humiliation burning her cheeks. But Amanda only laughed harder, tossing the towel to Chloe, who caught it effortlessly. What's wrong, Lily? Chloe taunted, waving the towel like a trophy. Too scared to stand up for yourself? Rachel joined in, shaking her head in mock pity. Maybe she doesn't know how. Poor thing probably doesn't even own a backbone. The laughter filled the room, bouncing off the tiled walls and amplifying Lily's shame. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to block out the noise, but it was impossible. Every word felt like a punch to the gut, leaving her breathless and defeated. Then, suddenly everything stopped. The laughter died mid-chuckle, replaced by an eerie silence that seemed to stretch endlessly. Confused, Lily opened her eyes and looked around. What she saw made her blink twice to make sure she wasn't imagining things. Standing in the doorway was a girl unlike anyone Lily had ever met. She was tall and confident, with dark skin that glowed under the harsh fluorescent lights. Her curly hair framed her face in a way that looked both natural and striking, and her piercing brown eyes scanned the room with an intensity that demanded respect. She wore a simple pair of jeans and a hoodie, but somehow she commanded attention without saying a word. For a moment, no one moved. Even Amanda, who prided herself on never backing down, seemed unsure of what to do. The new girl's gaze landed on her, first pinning her in place like a bug under glass. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm but firm, carrying an authority that silenced any lingering whispers. "What exactly is going on here?" she asked, her tone leaving no room for excuses or lies. No one answered. Amanda shifted uncomfortably, clutching the towel tightly in her hands as if realizing for the first time that she shouldn't be holding it. Chloe and Rachel exchanged nervous glances, their earlier bravado melting away like ice in the sun. When no one responded, the new girl took a step forward, closing the distance between herself and Amanda. Up close, she seemed even more imposing, her presence radiating strength and confidence. Without breaking eye contact, she held out her hand. "I believe that belongs to someone else," she said simply, nodding toward the towel. Amanda hesitated, glancing at her friends for support, but they avoided her gaze. Finally, with obvious reluctance, she handed over the towel. The new girl accepted it without a word, then turned to Lily, offering it to her gently. "Here," she said, her voice softening slightly. "You okay?" Lily nodded mutely, too overwhelmed to speak. She took the towel, wrapping it tightly around herself once again. The warmth of gratitude washed over her, dulling the sharp edges of embarrassment and fear. As the new girl stood there, watching silently, Amanda and her friends began to shuffle toward the exit, their earlier arrogance replaced by unease. Before leaving, Amanda shot one last glare at Lily, though it lacked its usual venom. Then they were gone, the sound of their footsteps fading into the distance. Only then did the new girl relax slightly, letting out a small sigh. She glanced at Lily, her expression softening further. "You shouldn't let them treat you like that," she said quietly. "They're not worth your tears." Lily wiped her eyes, embarrassed to have been caught crying. I didn't mean to." "It's okay," the girl interrupted, cutting her off with a small smile. "I'm Maya, by the way, new here." "Lily," she replied softly, managing a weak smile in return. "Thanks for helping me." Maya shrugged, as if standing up to bullies was nothing out of the ordinary. "Don't mention it, just promise me one thing. You'll stop letting them win." Though Lily didn't fully understand what Maya meant, she nodded anyway, feeling a spark of determination ignite within her. For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel entirely alone. And as Maya walked away, disappearing through the same doorway she'd entered, Lily couldn't help but wonder if maybe, just maybe, things might start looking up after all. The next day at school felt different for Lily. She wasn't sure why. Maybe it was because she had spent most of the night replaying yesterday's events in her mind. The memory of Amanda and her friends laughing at her still burned, but so did the image of Maya walking into the locker room like a storm that silenced everyone. That moment kept replaying in her head, filling her with a mix of gratitude and curiosity. Lily didn't know much about Maya, except that she was new to Ridgewood High. No one seemed to know where she came from or anything about her past. But there was something about her, something strong and unshakable that made people stop and pay attention when she entered a room. Even now, as Lily sat alone in the cafeteria during lunch, she couldn't help glancing around, half expecting to see Maya again. She wasn't disappointed. Just as Lily was poking at her uneaten sandwich, a shadow fell across the table. Looking up, she saw Maya standing there, balancing a tray of food in one hand while giving Lily a small, friendly smile. For a moment, Lily froze, unsure what to say or do. She wasn't used to people seeking her out, let alone someone like Maya. "Mind if I sit here?" Maya asked, gesturing to the empty seat across from Lily. Sure," Lily stammered, moving her backpack off the bench to make space. "Go ahead." Maya slid into the seat effortlessly, setting her tray down with a soft clink. Up close, Lily noticed details she hadn't before. The faint freckles scattered across Maya's cheeks, the way her dark eyes sparkled even under the fluorescent lights, and the calm confidence in her posture. It was hard not to feel intimidated by someone so self-assured, but Maya's smile softened the edge, making her seem approachable. "So," Maya began, unwrapping her sandwich, "how are you holding up? Those girls didn't bother you again today, did they?" Lily shook her head quickly. "No, they didn't. I mean, I saw them in the hallway, but they acted like I wasn't even there." "That's good," Maya said, nodding approvingly. "Maybe they're starting to get the message." Lily hesitated, twisting a strand of her hair nervously. "I don't think it's because of me, though. They probably just forgot about me." Maya raised an eyebrow, studying Lily carefully. "You give yourself too little credit. Trust me, they noticed what happened yesterday. And trust me again, they won't forget it anytime soon." Lily looked away, unsure how to respond. She wanted to believe Maya, but years of being overlooked and dismissed had taught her not to expect much from others. Still, there was something comforting about having someone in her corner, even if it was temporary. Changing the subject, Maya leaned forward slightly, resting her elbows on the table. "Anyway, enough about them. Tell me about you. What do you like to do when you're not dodging bullies?" Caught off guard by the question, Lily blinked a few times before answering. I like reading. And drawing sometimes. Not really anything exciting." "Reading's great," Maya replied enthusiastically. "What kind of books do you like?" "Mostly fantasy and sci-fi stuff," Lily admitted, feeling a little more comfortable talking about something she enjoyed. "Stories where ordinary people discover they're part of something bigger than themselves." Maya grinned, her eyes lighting up. "That's awesome. Those are my favorites too. There's something about those kinds of stories that makes you feel like anything's possible, you know?" Lily nodded, surprised to find common ground with someone like Maya. "Yeah, exactly. Like maybe life doesn't have to be boring all the time." "Exactly," Maya echoed, pointing a fry at Lily for emphasis. "And who says it has to be? Life's whatever you make of it." For a moment, Lily let herself imagine that idea, that maybe her life could change, that she didn't have to stay stuck in the same patterns forever. But then reality crept back in, reminding her of all the reasons why things were unlikely to improve. Shaking her head slightly, she pushed the thought aside. "You're easy to talk to," Lily said after a pause, surprising even herself with the compliment. "I don't usually open up to people like this." "Well, I'm glad you did," Maya said sincerely. "It's nice meeting someone who actually listens instead of just waiting for their turn to speak." They continued talking, skipping from topic to topic as if they'd known each other for years. Maya shared bits and pieces of her own life. How she'd moved around a lot growing up, never staying in one place for too long. She joked about how hard it was to keep track of new schools and faces, but Lily sensed there was more to her story than she was letting on. At one point, Maya glanced around the cafeteria, lowering her voice slightly. "You ever get the feeling that there's more going on in the world than what we see every day?" Lily frowned, caught off guard by the random question. "What do you mean?" "I mean..." Maya hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "Sometimes, I think there are forces at work that most people don't notice or don't want to notice. Things that can't always be explained." Lily tilted her head, intrigued, despite herself. "Like what?" Maya smiled mysteriously, leaning back in her chair. "Let's just say I've seen some things that make me wonder. Maybe someday I'll tell you more about it." Before Lily could press further, the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch. Students began gathering their trays and heading toward the exits, leaving the cafeteria nearly empty. Maya stood up, grabbing her bag and slinging it over her shoulder. "We should hang out again soon," she said, smiling down at Lily. "Maybe outside of school sometime. You free tomorrow afternoon?" Lily nodded slowly, still processing everything that had happened during their conversation. "Yeah, I think so." "Great. I'll text you later," Maya said, waving goodbye as she walked away. As Lily watched her go, she couldn't shake the feeling that Maya was unlike anyone she'd ever met. There was something about her, something deeper than just confidence or kindness, that hinted at secrets untold. Whatever it was, Lily found herself wanting to learn more. For the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful. Not just about surviving high school, but about discovering what else might lie beyond the surface of everyday life. And with Maya, by her side, she dared to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could face whatever came next. The next afternoon, Lily found herself standing nervously outside Maya's house. It was a modest two-story home with white siding and flower boxes under the windows, nestled at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. She had never been invited to someone else's house before, not like this, and the thought made her stomach twist with anxiety. Before she could second-guess herself, the front door opened, and Maya appeared, waving cheerfully. "Hey, you made it. Come on in." Lily stepped inside hesitantly, taking in the cozy interior. The living room smelled faintly of vanilla candles, and sunlight streamed through the windows, casting warm glows across the furniture. A stack of books sat on the coffee table along with a notebook filled with scribbles that looked almost like symbols. "Make yourself comfortable," Maya said, motioning toward the rug where pillows and blankets were already laid out. "I figured we could study here. It's quieter than my room." "Study?" Lily asked, raising an eyebrow despite herself. Somehow she doubted they'd be reviewing math problems today. Maya chuckled, sitting down and patting the spot beside her. "Sort of. But first I want to show you something." Curiosity getting the better of her, Lily joined Maya on the floor. As soon as she settled in, Maya picked up the notebook and flipped it open to a page covered in intricate drawings. They weren't random doodles. They looked deliberate, almost like letters from another language. "What is this?" Lily asked, leaning closer to examine the markings. "These are symbols," Maya explained, tracing one of them gently with her finger. "They're part of an ancient system used to protect against, well, things most people don't believe exist." Lily frowned, unsure whether to take her seriously or laugh it off. "Like what kind of things?" Maya hesitated, searching Lily's face for any sign of disbelief. When she saw only curiosity, she continued. "Things you can't explain, forces that feed on fear, anger, chaos. Some people call them spirits, others call them shadows. Whatever they are, they're real. And they've been around a lot longer than we have." Lily blinked, trying to process what she was hearing. It sounded crazy, like something straight out of one of the fantasy novels she loved reading. But there was something about Maya's tone, so steady and serious, that made her pause. "You really think these symbols can stop them?" she asked finally, pointing at the notebook. "They've worked for centuries," Maya replied simply, "but using them isn't easy. You need focus, discipline, and belief in what you're doing. That's why not everyone can handle it." Lily swallowed hard, feeling a mix of excitement and unease bubbling in her chest. "Why are you telling me this? I mean, I'm nobody special. I wouldn't even know where to start." Maya smiled softly, closing the notebook and setting it aside. "You're wrong about that. You might not see it yet, but you've got potential. Yesterday, when those girls were messing with you, you didn't fight back. Not because you're weak, but because you didn't know how. Now you do. Or at least, you could." Lily stared at her, stunned by the confidence in Maya's voice. No one had ever spoken to her like that before, as if she were capable of more than just blending into the background. It was both thrilling and terrifying. "But why me?" she whispered, voicing the question that had been nagging at her since yesterday. "Why would you trust me with something so big?" Maya sighed, looking thoughtful for a moment. "Because I can tell you're different. Most people go through life ignoring the weird stuff, brushing it off as coincidence or bad luck. But you notice things. I saw it in your eyes when I mentioned forces beyond what we see every day. You're curious, and that curiosity might save us all someday." Her words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Lily wanted to argue, to insist that Maya had the wrong person, but deep down she couldn't deny the spark of interest igniting within her. What if Maya was right? What if there really was more to the world than met the eye? "Okay," Lily said slowly, surprising even herself. "If you say I can help, then maybe I can, but you'll have to teach me." Maya grinned, clearly pleased by her response. "Deal. But fair warning, it won't be easy. This isn't some after-school club. Once you step into this world, there's no turning back." I understand, Lily said firmly, though her heart raced at the thought. For once, she felt ready to face whatever came next. Over the next hour, Maya walked her through the basics. She explained how each symbol represented a specific idea: protection, strength, clarity, and showed her how to draw them correctly. At first, Lily struggled, her shaky lines looking nothing like the elegant patterns in the notebook. But Maya was patient, guiding her hand until she started to get the hang of it. As they worked, Maya shared snippets of her own experiences. She talked about moving from place to place, always drawn to places where strange things happened. Sometimes it was unexplained noises in old houses. Other times it was people acting strangely, as if controlled by something unseen. Each time she used the symbols to intervene, breaking whatever hold the forces had over them. It's not about being fearless, Maya admitted at one point. It's about knowing what you're fighting for. Fear will always be there. That's normal. But letting it control you? That's when you lose. By the time the sun began to set, Lily's head was spinning with everything she'd learned. Her fingers were sore from gripping the pen so tightly, and her mind buzzed with questions she wasn't sure how to ask. Yet despite the overwhelming flood of information, she felt alive in a way she hadn't in years. As they packed up the notebooks and tidied the living room, Maya glanced at her watch. We should probably call it a day. Your parents will start wondering where you are. Lily nodded, standing awkwardly as she gathered her things. Thank you for trusting me with all this. I won't let you down. Maya smirked, shaking her head. I know you won't. Just remember, this is only the beginning. There's a lot more to learn, and not all of it will make sense right away. But I'll be here to guide you. Walking home later that evening, Lily couldn't stop, thinking about everything Maya had shown her. The symbols, the stories, the weight of responsibility settling onto her shoulders. It was almost too much to comprehend. Yet instead of feeling crushed by it, she felt a flicker of hope. For the first time in her life, Lily felt like she belonged, somewhere. Not because she fit in perfectly, but because she had a purpose, one that mattered. And with Maya by her side, she dared to believe she could rise to the challenge. The next few days passed quickly for Lily, though they felt anything but ordinary. Every spare moment was spent practicing the symbols Maya had taught her, sketching them over and over until her hand cramped. At first, it seemed like busy work, just lines on paper, but the more she drew, the more she began to feel something strange. It wasn't quite energy, but it was close, like a faint hum vibrating through her fingertips whenever she traced certain patterns. Maya noticed too. One afternoon, as they sat together in the library flipping through an old book about ancient languages, Maya leaned back in her chair and smiled approvingly. You're getting better, she said. I can see it in your focus. These symbols aren't just shapes, they're tools, and you're learning how to use them. Lily blushed slightly at the compliment, but couldn't help feeling proud of herself. For once, she wasn't just blending into the background. She was doing something important, even if no one else knew about it yet. But outside their quiet study sessions, life at Ridgewood High hadn't slowed down. If anything, things were escalating. Amanda and her friends hadn't forgotten about Lily, or Maya for that matter. Instead of outright bullying, they resorted to subtle jabs in the hallways, whispering loud enough for Lily to hear or smirking whenever she walked by. It was maddening, like being poked with needles instead of punched. One morning, as Lily stood at her locker switching out books, Amanda appeared seemingly out of nowhere, flanked by Chloe and Rachel. They blocked her path, forcing her to step back against the lockers. Well, Amanda sneered, tossing her hair over her shoulder. Looks like Little Miss Invisible has found herself a bodyguard. Tell me, does Maya charge by the hour? Lily clenched her fists, biting her tongue, to keep from responding. She didn't want to give Amanda the satisfaction of seeing her upset, but it was hard not to react when every word felt like a knife twisting in her gut. Before she could think of a reply, Maya's voice cut through the tension like a blade. Funny, Maya said coolly, stepping up beside Lily. I thought you'd learned your lesson yesterday. Guess I was wrong. Amanda stiffened, clearly caught off guard. She turned slowly to face Maya, her expression shifting from smug to wary. What? Do you care this doesn't involve you? It does now. Maya shot back, her tone sharp and unyielding. Leave her alone, Amanda. You've done enough damage already. For a moment, no one moved. The hallway fell silent, students pausing mid-step to watch the standoff unfold. Even Chloe and Rachel looked uneasy, exchanging nervous glances as if unsure what to do next. Amanda recovered quickly, forcing a laugh that sounded brittle and fake. Oh, please. Like you're some big hero. What are you going to do, fight us? Maya didn't answer right away. Instead, she took a single step forward, closing the gap between herself and Amanda. Her dark eyes locked onto Amanda's, unwavering and intense. When she finally spoke, her voice was low but carried an edge that sent shivers down Lily's spine. I don't need to fight you, Maya said. All I need to do is remind you who you really are. And trust me, you won't like it. Something flickered in Amanda's gaze, a flicker of uncertainty that only lasted a second but was unmistakable. She opened her mouth to retort, but nothing came out. Instead, she stumbled backward, breaking eye contact as if unable to bear Maya's stare any longer. Come on, she muttered to her friends, turning on her heel and storming off down the hallway. Chloe and Rachel followed without question, casting one last glance over their shoulders before disappearing around the corner. As soon as they were gone, the tension in the air dissolved, leaving behind a chorus of murmurs as students resumed their conversations. Maya let out a slow breath, shaking her head slightly. That was weird, she muttered under her breath. What did you do? Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She had seen Maya stand up to bullies before, but this time felt different. There was something almost otherworldly about the way Amanda had reacted. Maya hesitated, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. Then she lowered her voice. I didn't do anything. Not really. Just reminded her of something she didn't want to remember. Sometimes people carry shadows inside them, echoes of fear or anger they don't even realize are there. All I did was shine a light. Lily stared at her, trying to process what she meant. Shadows? Echoes? None of it made sense. But she trusted Maya. If she said it was true, then it had to be. Later that evening, after school let out, Maya met Lily at her house to continue their lessons. This time they worked outdoors, sitting on the porch as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. We need to talk about Amanda, Maya said abruptly, breaking the peaceful silence. She's not acting like herself anymore. What do you mean? Lily asked, frowning. Isn't she always like that? No, Maya replied firmly. This is different. Remember how I told you about forces that feed on fear and chaos? Well, I think Amanda might be caught up in something bigger than she realizes. Those shadows I mentioned earlier, they're real, and they can attach themselves to people, influencing their actions without them knowing. Lily's stomach twisted at the thought. As much as she disliked Amanda, she didn't want to believe she was being controlled by something sinister. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure, Maya admitted. And if we don't stop it, whatever's influencing her will grow stronger. It'll spread to others too, feeding off their emotions until it becomes impossible to contain. So what do we do? Lily asked, her voice trembling slightly. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on her shoulders again, but this time it felt urgent. We confront it, Maya said simply, but we'll need to be careful. Whatever's attached to Amanda isn't going to let go easily. Over the next hour, Maya explained their plan. They would track the source of the shadow, a task easier said than done, and use the symbols they'd been practicing to weaken its hold. It wouldn't be easy, and it certainly wouldn't be safe, but Lily didn't hesitate when Maya asked if she was ready. I'll do whatever it takes, Lily said firmly, surprising herself with how steady her voice sounded. Maybe it was the hours of practice, or maybe it was the newfound confidence Maya had helped her discover. Either way, she felt prepared to face whatever came next. As night fell and the stars began to peek through the darkening sky, Maya placed a reassuring hand on Lily's shoulder. "This won't be easy," she said softly. "But I believe in you. Together we can stop this before it gets worse." Lily nodded, determination burning brightly within her. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just surviving, she was fighting. And with Maya by her side, she knew they could win. The plan was simple, or at least that's what Maya had said. Simple didn't mean easy, though, and as Lily followed Maya through the dark streets leading to the outskirts of town, she couldn't shake the knot of fear tightening in her stomach. They were headed to an old abandoned factory on the edge of Ridgewood, a place everyone avoided after sunset. Rumors swirled about strange noises coming from inside, whispers in the wind, faint cries echoing through the night, but no one dared investigate. According to Maya, it was the perfect hiding spot for something dangerous, something feeding off fear and chaos. Lily shivered as they approached the building, its silhouette looming against the moonlit sky. Broken windows stared out like hollow eyes, and the chain-link fence surrounding it sagged under years of neglect. Even the air felt heavier here, thick with unease. "You okay?" Maya asked quietly, glancing over her shoulder. Lily nodded, though her hands trembled as she adjusted the strap of her backpack. Inside were the notebooks and papers covered in symbols they'd been practicing all week. She hoped they'd be enough. "Remember," Maya continued, her voice steady despite the tension radiating off her. "Stay close to me, and whatever happens, don't stop chanting. These symbols, they're our weapon. They'll weaken it." "I won't stop," Lily promised, gripping the flashlight tighter. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she forced herself to focus. This wasn't just about saving Amanda anymore. It was about protecting everyone from whatever darkness lurked within these walls. Pushing open the creaking metal door, they stepped inside. The air was colder than expected, carrying the metallic tang of rust and decay. Shadows danced across the floor as their flashlights swept over rows of old machinery, now corroded and silent. Somewhere deeper in the factory, a low hum vibrated through the ground, almost too faint to hear. "This way," Maya whispered, pointing toward a set of stairs leading down into the basement. Her movements were cautious but deliberate, every step calculated. Lily followed closely, her breath hitching as the hum grew louder, more insistent. At the bottom of the stairs, they entered a large chamber. It was darker here, the only light coming from a single flickering bulb overhead. And there in the center of the room stood Amanda. But this wasn't the same Amanda who strutted through the hallways or sneered at anyone weaker than her. This Amanda was different, her posture rigid, her expression blank. Her eyes were wide but unseeing, glazed over as if she were staring into another world entirely. Dark tendrils of shadow coiled around her body, pulsating with an unnatural energy that made Lily's skin crawl. "Oh no," Maya murmured, stepping forward cautiously. "It's worse than I thought." "What do we do?" Lily asked, her voice barely audible over the growing hum. "We break its hold," Maya replied, pulling out her notebook and flipping to the marked page. The symbols on it seemed to glow faintly, their edges shimmering with golden light. "Start drawing the circle. Hurry." Lily dropped to her knees, spreading out the sheets of paper she'd brought. Using chalk, she began tracing the protective circle Maya had taught her, each line precise and deliberate. Her hands shook, but she refused to let herself falter. If she messed up even slightly, the barrier wouldn't hold. As she worked, Maya moved closer to Amanda, her voice rising steadily as she began chanting in the ancient language. The words were unfamiliar, yet they carried a weight that resonated deep within Lily's chest. Each syllable seemed to push back against the shadows, forcing them to recoil momentarily before surging forward again with renewed strength. The shadows hissed, twisting violently as if aware of the threat posed by Maya's words. One tendril lashed out, narrowly missing her as she sidestepped it. Another shot toward Lily, but the incomplete circle flared with a soft golden glow, deflecting the attack. "Keep going," Maya shouted, her tone urgent. "Don't stop." Lily redoubled her efforts, finishing the last arc of the circle just as the shadows lunged again. This time the barrier held firm, creating a dome of light that pushed the darkness back. Inside the circle, Amanda staggered, clutching her head as if trying to fight off some invisible force. "It's working," Lily cried, relief flooding through her. "Not yet," Maya warned, her voice strained. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she continued chanting, the effort visibly draining her. "We need to sever the connection completely." Reaching into her pocket, Maya pulled out a small vial filled with a silvery liquid. "When I say so, throw this into the circle. It'll amplify the power of the symbols." Lily nodded, clutching the vial tightly. She watched as Maya raised her voice, the chant growing louder and more intense. The shadows writhed furiously, thrashing against the barrier as if desperate to escape. Sparks flew where they collided with the golden light, filling the room with flashes of brilliance. "Now!" Maya yelled. Without hesitation, Lily hurled the vial into the circle. It shattered on impact, releasing a burst of radiant energy that engulfed Amanda and the shadows surrounding her. A deafening roar filled the room, shaking the very foundation of the factory as the entity fought to maintain its grip. For a moment, it seemed like the shadows might win. They surged forward, pressing against the barrier with such force that cracks began to form in the golden light. But then Maya's voice rose above the chaos, stronger and clearer than ever. The final symbol she'd been saving blazed to life in her notebook, sending a wave of pure white light cascading outward. The shadows screamed, a sound so piercing it made Lily cover her ears, but they couldn't withstand the onslaught. One by one the tendrils dissolved, retreating into nothingness until the room fell silent once more. Breathing heavily, Maya lowered her notebook, her legs buckling beneath her. Lily rushed to her side, helping her stay upright. "Is it gone?" Lily asked, her voice trembling. "For now," Maya replied weakly, leaning against Lily for support. "But we've weakened it. That should buy us some time." Turning their attention to Amanda, they found her slumped on the floor, unconscious but alive. The glassy look in her eyes had faded, replaced by confusion as she slowly came to. "What happened?" Amanda mumbled, blinking groggily. "You'll remember later," Maya said gently, helping her sit up. "Right now, let's get you home." As they made their way out of the factory, the oppressive weight in the air lifted, replaced by a sense of calm. Though exhausted, Lily felt a surge of pride. They had faced something unimaginable, and won. And as Maya smiled at her, gratitude shining in her eyes, Lily realized she wasn't the same person who had hidden in the locker room just weeks ago. She had faced her fears and come out stronger on the other side. The days that followed felt almost surreal to Lily. Life at Ridgewood High hadn't changed overnight, but there was an undeniable shift in the air, a quiet calm that replaced the tension that had lingered for so long. Amanda and her friends no longer strutted through the hallways like royalty, their sharp tongues silenced as if they'd forgotten how to wield them. Instead, Amanda kept mostly to herself, rarely speaking unless spoken to. It wasn't just her demeanor that had changed. There was something softer about her now, as if the weight she'd carried, unknowingly or not, had finally been lifted. Lily noticed it one morning when she passed Amanda at her locker. For a brief moment, their eyes met, and instead of the usual sneer or glare, Amanda gave her a small, almost apologetic nod before quickly turning away. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make Lily pause. She glanced at Maya, who stood nearby, watching the exchange with a knowing smile. "She's still adjusting," Maya said softly as they walked toward their first class. "It'll take time for her to fully understand what happened, or maybe she never will. Either way, she's free now." "Do you think she remembers anything?" Lily asked, glancing back over her shoulder at Amanda. "Bits and pieces, maybe," Maya replied thoughtfully. "Enough to know something wasn't right, but the important thing is that whatever was controlling her is gone. For now, at least." "For now?" Lily echoed, her stomach tightening slightly at the implication. Maya nodded, her expression serious. "These things don't disappear completely. They retreat, regroup, and wait for another opportunity. We stopped it this time, but we can't let our guard down." Though the idea of facing such darkness again sent a chill down Lily's spine, she found herself nodding in agreement. She wasn't the same person she'd been before. Afraid to speak up, afraid to stand out. Maya had shown her that strength wasn't about being fearless. It was about doing what needed to be done even when you were scared. Their bond had grown stronger too. What had started as a chance encounter in the locker room had blossomed into a friendship unlike any Lily had ever known. Maya wasn't just someone who stood up for her. She was someone who believed in her, who saw potential in her when she couldn't see it herself. And Lily had risen to meet those expectations, discovering courage and resilience she didn't know she possessed. Every afternoon after school, they continued practicing the symbols, refining their skills and preparing for whatever might come next. Sometimes they worked in Maya's living room, surrounded by books and notebooks filled with ancient knowledge. Other times they ventured outside, sketching patterns in the dirt or chanting under the stars. Each session brought new challenges, but also new triumphs. "You're getting really good at this," Maya remarked one evening as they sat on the porch, the cool autumn breeze rustling the leaves around them. "Better than I expected, honestly." Lily smiled, feeling a flicker of pride. "I guess I had a pretty good teacher." Maya chuckled, nudging her playfully. "Don't get cocky. There's still a lot to learn." "I know," Lily replied, her tone softening. "But thank you for everything. I don't think I could have done any of this without you." Maya looked at her, her dark eyes warm and sincere. "You give yourself too little credit. You've always had it in you. You just needed someone to remind you." As the weeks went by, rumors spread throughout the school about what had happened to Amanda. Some students whispered about strange noises coming from the old factory, while others speculated that she'd simply burned out from being mean all the time. No one knew the truth, and neither Lily nor Maya planned to tell them. Some secrets were better left untold. Instead, they focused on building a new normal. Lily began sitting with Maya at lunch regularly, introducing her to a few classmates who shared their love of books and art. Slowly but surely, she started stepping out of the shadows, joining conversations and even volunteering answers in class. It wasn't easy. Old habits died hard, but each small step felt like progress. One crisp fall afternoon as they walked home together after school, Maya stopped suddenly, staring off into the distance. Following her gaze, Lily saw a flock of birds soaring across the sky, their wings catching the golden light of the setting sun. "You know," Maya said after a moment, her voice tinged with nostalgia, "sometimes I wonder if I'll ever find a place where I truly belong." Lily frowned, surprised by the sadness in her friend's tone. "What do you mean? Don't you belong here, with us?" Maya smiled faintly, shaking her head. "Not really. My life, it's different. I move around a lot, chasing these forces, wherever they pop up. It's not easy, but it's what I'm meant to do." A lump formed in Lily's throat as she realized what Maya was saying. Their time together was temporary, a fleeting chapter in a much larger story. "Will you leave soon?" "Eventually," Maya admitted, "but not yet. There's still more for us to do here, together." Lily nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. She didn't want to think about saying goodbye, not yet. For now, she was determined to make the most of every moment they had left. As they resumed their walk, the world seemed brighter somehow, illuminated by the promise of new beginnings. Though the road ahead would undoubtedly be challenging, Lily felt ready to face it head-on. With Maya by her side, and eventually, even without her, she knew she could handle whatever came next. And as they walked side by side beneath the fiery hues of the autumn sunset, two figures bound by friendship and purpose, the future stretched out before them like an open book, waiting to be written.